My name is Kurt Turnison, and I'm the founder of RiskRevu. Thank you for joining us. For those of you who are new to RiskRevu, I do want to do a quick overview of the platform and some of the basics. So we'll do a couple minutes on that, and then we'll jump into the rest of the agenda, which we're going to talk about 3 specific forms and 3 separate use cases for those specific forms. And then we're going to end the call around 12:25, or end the presentation around 12:25 and open it up for questions questions and answers. And if we need to go over, I have some time to do that, so happy to do that, but look forward to answering some of your questions. All right, so let's jump in. I'm going to share my screen so you can see the platform. Okay, so to start with the basics, this is once someone logs into their RiskRevu account, this is the first screen they see. This is the dashboard. And from here, the user can navigate to the various sections of the platform. The first section I'll show you is the various forms. So as part of the setup process, and we went through this in a different video last week, you would set up your account, your public profile, and choose the forms that you want to show up on your public profile. If you'd like a copy of that video, please email us at info@riskrevu.com, and my team will send you a link to that video. But here you click on the forms button, and here you can view the different forms that are part of your profile. So there's 3 types of forms. There's risk evaluations, there's new policy forms, which are similar to intake forms, and there's service-related forms. So we're going to go through one from each of these categories today. You can also view your responses by clicking the response button. So when you send out a link, client fills out the form, that is called a response. And then you click on the response button, you can view all of your responses. And then you hit the view, and you can view all of the data that the client or whoever filled in. You can print that submission to a PDF as well if you'd like to save that. Okay, and then you can also view your public profile by hitting the public profile button right there. All right, and then we go back to the dashboard. All right, so that's just a quick overview of the basics of getting in and around the dashboard and a RiskRevu account. And obviously here is where you would edit your profile and select the forms that you want, and so on and so forth. So pretty straightforward. There is the group dashboard button as well. I'll just show you a quick view of that, where the administrator can view all of the accounts and add new members, add new accounts to their RiskRevu account, and view some statistics and data as well about the usage. Okay, so now on to the specific use cases that we're going to discuss. So the first one we're going to discuss is one of my personal favorites, and I've been using for now over 2 years to great success and delight of myself and everybody who works with it. This is going to be under, this is going to be under our service evaluations button, okay? So service evaluations, all of these forms I would categorize as things that are used to improve the process of a service function. And this service function we're talking about today is when a client, an existing client, is adding a new car to their auto policy. And so the specific form that we're going to be looking at is the new vehicle information dealer form. There is a new vehicle information client form. It's basically the same form. One is meant to be sent to the car dealer to fill out, and one is meant to be sent to the client to fill out. In most cases, I try to send the dealer form to have the dealer complete the information, because I believe that's where it's going to be the most accurate and the best information. But in some situations where there might not be a dealer, a private sale, I will send the client specific form. Okay, so, but let me just paint the picture real quick. This is how it has worked for me and everybody who I've taught about this process. Basically, a client will email me or the agent. They'll email the agent saying, "Dear agent, I am buying a new car today, tomorrow, whenever the case is. What are the next steps?" So in that situation, and it could be an email from the client, it could be they call in, it could be they text, it could be the dealer calls in themselves. In every situation, the first and typically only question I ask of the client or the dealer is for the dealer's email address. So I say, "Okay, great. What's the dealer's email address to the client?" They say, "Oh, it's this, and this is their name." And I'm like, "Okay, excellent. That's all I need from you, Mr. Client. That's all I need from you, Mr. Dealer or Mrs. Dealer." And then what I do is I have a template, an email template, which I crafted and I've saved in my system under what they call quick parts. And I have it called New Dealer, New Card Dealer. And then there's this template form that comes up, okay? So there's my email template, but before I get there, I need to get the form, okay? So here's the form. So I click on that button, I get to the form. Let's go through the questions real quick. What's the client's name, the dealership name, the dealer representative name, the dealer phone number, and what's the dealer's preferred method for us to send insurance documents, email or fax, what's the VIN number. Again, this is where it's going to be most accurate because the dealer is filling it out. What's the year, make, and model of the vehicle? And what is the purchase price of the car? What's the date the client will take ownership of the vehicle? What state will the vehicle be registered in? Here's the question, please upload a copy of the window sticker and required if it's over $100,000. What is the exact spelling of the name the vehicle will be registered in? Is it a lease, financed, cash purchase? So, and again, if you select lease, there's conditional logic where it says, what's the lien holder name? Is the client name and address? Is the client replacing the vehicle they currently own with this purchase? Yes. Which vehicle are they replacing? What's the date the client will sell or turn the vehicle? Will the client transfer the plates from the old vehicle to the new one? And then a short disclaimer, and are you ready to submit the form? Every one of our forms has this last question here to prevent forms from being submitted too soon just because someone hits enter. So they hit the yes, I'm ready to submit it. They hit submit, and they're ready to go. All that data will then be sent directly back to the person who sent them the form, okay? So while I'm here, I'll just mention the Save and Continue button, which I'll show in greater detail as we go through. But you can also, as the agent, if you know the client's name and some other details that you want to pre-fill the form with, you can hit the Save and Continue button to send the dealer a pre-filled saved form, okay? So now that we've gone through the form, that form basically asks every question you need to be able to add that car to the policy. And there is conditional logic in there based on some specific states, like Massachusetts. In Massachusetts, they want to know about the odometer reading and some other things, an RMV1 form. Okay, so now I want to get this form to the dealer. I showed you the email before, but I didn't show you how to get the link. So you hit the share button, and you can do this on mobile, on your phone as well. And I'll show you that more. You hit the copy link, okay? Now that link is copied. So I'm going to go back to my email. And again, as I said, I have these template emails built in. And so there's the link, it's there, but I'll just show you. I just hit, let's see, right click, paste. And there it is. There's the link. Okay, so then I shoot this right off to the dealer, sends it to the dealer. Dealer, in my experience, using this form, I've gotten these forms back within 2 minutes, some within 10 minutes, so on and so forth. So this one little form has saved me, my team, and all the RiskRevu users anywhere from 5 minutes to 20 minutes per transaction because of the time it usually takes to gather that information. Sometimes it's taken down wrong or you're missing some information, so you got to call the dealer back and deal with voicemail and things of that nature. So I love this form because it takes me and the agent completely out of that data gathering exercise, and it streamlines it perfectly. So that is that form. Okay, so I'm going to delete that so we can move on to the next use case. All right, so let's see. And I wanted to pull up, I'm going to go back to the profile and back to the dashboard here. Now, what I'm doing now is typing in a specific URL for the public profile. So there are two ways to get to the to your forms as a user. One is by logging into your account and hitting the profile button, or hitting the forms button. You can access the forms that way. The other is simply by doing what I just did. You can go to a URL in any browser and type in riskrevu.com / your first name - last name. And that will bring you to your public profile where you don't have to log in to access your forms. So, and that's the way I do it, is just because it's faster, it's easier, and I can do it on the fly. All right, so I access my public profile. The next use case I want to talk about is in our new policies forms. Okay, and these are otherwise known as intake forms. They're generally used for new business opportunities, whether it's a brand new prospect or an existing client. Okay, so let's talk about one of my favorite forms, and the forms that I use the most is our personal package form, personal insurance package form. And you can see the three right here. And I want to just give you an overview of why there's three. So there are three package forms because each one has different sections to it, if you will. So first of all, the package form for personal lines is meant to collect information from more than one line of business. So home, condo, renters, auto, valuable articles, and umbrella is what the personal insurance package form, the top form, collects. The second form does basically the same thing, but it does it for multiple homes. So you can put up to 3 homes in the multiple homes package form. And the expanded form, this last one, it actually can collect information for 2 homes, condo, renters, valuables, auto, collector car, watercraft, and umbrella, all in the same form. Okay, and so I found this extremely helpful when there are those larger accounts where you know, the insured does have all those multiple lines of business. Okay, so those are the 3 types of forms there. But now let's dig into this top one, the personal insurance package form, for the purposes of this discussion. Okay, so first of all, when do I use this form, and when is this form used by our users? It varies. There's lots of different examples. So for example, a new prospect comes in and says, you know, emails as a referral or as an opportunity through some other means, and they email in and they say, I'd like to get a quote from you. Great. Well, that's a perfect opportunity to use an email template that directs them to the link to provide the necessary information for me or a user, an agent, to obtain pricing from our insurance carriers. So that's one way. Another way is, and this is one that I really like, is some clients will call in and say they just want a homeowner's quote. And that's an example where I will use this form to try and actually round the account, make it easier to round the account. I'll say, great, we can get you a homeowner's quote, which we can do as a monoline, but I'd like to write the package. So in the email, I'll say, great, here's a link to a form. Please complete the applicable sections for quotes that you would like me to obtain for you. And by the way, when we combine home with auto, there are portfolio discounts, and I have a template that explains that very simply and quickly. And the form makes it easy for those clients to say, oh, okay, yeah, it's easy for me to plug in my auto information. I'm just going to do that because I'd like to see what the quote's going to be. Okay, so that said, this can be used, you know, I use this with centers of influence. Sometimes a a referral source will have declarations pages to provide to me, and I can pre-fill this document with information that they give me, and then send it to them to send to the client to complete the rest of the document. And that will work with family offices and financial advisors and things of that nature. So let's just take a look closely at this though. The first name, and I'll just type in a name, phone number. See, it's very simple to go through. Will there be anyone else named on the quote? So there's the occupation and employer name. What's your date of birth? Will there be anybody else? Yes. What's their occupation? Now here is where you customize this proposal. You can select the different types of lines that you want to get quotes for. So if I deselect the condo, that will take all the questions related to condo out of this. If I deselect the renters, it'll take all those questions out as well. And I'm left with valuable articles, auto, and umbrella. Perfect package. It asks, what's the name of your current insurance company? What is the address that you would like a quote for? Are you in the process of purchasing a home? What's the purchase price? What's the closing date? Are you doing major renovations? Yes. What's the approximate budget? How long will it take? So you can see how the conditional logic flows with the conversation. Please select the occupancy. Well, this is my primary. Great. Please enter your primary current address. So this is their primary address, but what's their current address? Where are they moving from? That's what that's seeking to get to help with that, that insurance scoring. Will there be a mortgage? Yes. Well, what's the name of the bank? Who's the contact of the bank? What's the phone number for the contact of the bank? What's the email address? So this is in an effort to say, okay, great, we're purchasing this home. At some point, I'm going to have to get the mortgagee clause. Is the insurance going to be escrowed? Is there a trust or LLC? What's the name of the trust? Is there an alarm system? Yes. What are the components? Heat, burglar, low temp. Are there risk mitigation features? Backup generator, automatic water shutoff valve, lightning protection. So they can go through and they can see all these different credits that are available. What's the square footage? What's year was the home built? How many stories does the home have? What's the roof type? Okay, and you can see what's the construction. Has the home been updated within the last 10 years? Electrical, yes. Plumbing, yes. Heating, roof, windows, none. Other. What year was the electrical updated? What type of business or foundation does it have? It's a finished basement. Great. What are the other structures? Pool, detached garage. Is there an attached garage? Yes. How many bays? Trampoline, so on and so forth. So, and one thing to note about these forms, every form in most cases, none of the questions are required. Okay, and I did that for ease of client experience. So we could gather as much data from the client as we could and as the client was willing to give us, but make the process easy for them so that they could go through and submit the form and get the process moving. Okay, and I found that with these forms, I'm actually getting more data than I used to get when I talked to clients over the phone, because some of these questions I wouldn't feel comfortable asking over the phone. All right, so jewelry. Let's talk about this. Yes, I have some jewelry. How many pieces? Total collection value. Value of this most significant piece. These are all text fields, by the way, so anything can be written in them. So one of the things too to note is that sometimes agents, we do have to talk to the client and go through this with them over the phone because they don't want to do the form, and that's fine. So what I do is I use this as a guide for the conversation, and I enter everything in as I go. All right. Do you have any appraisals? Yes. Okay. So you can see, and there's the auto section. I won't go through that for time reasons. Deductible options, they can choose the umbrella. There's a place for them to upload documents. And very often clients will upload their declarations pages. Who were they referred by? Are you ready to submit the form? Great. And let's just show you the save and continue. So let's say I entered a lot of this information in for an existing client. I want to send them the pre-filled form. I just hit save and continue, and I copy this link, and I send that link to the client. Okay. I also, as a best practice, I also put my email address in there, the agent's email address, into this field right here, and send that link to the agent, back to the person filling out the form. I would not recommend ever having the client or prospect's email put into that box to have them send that link directly. Okay, so that is that form. And again, I wanted to show you, I have a template that I have built for my own process called Personal Prospect. And there it is. It's very simple, and I tweak it a little bit depending on the situation, and I send it off to whoever it is. All right. So that is that. The last form I wanted to go through, and I want to be aware of time. We only have 1 minute before I wanted to open up for questions. But this is a really cool one. And I love this form because I use it to start my renewal process on the personal line side. And this is how a lot of our users use it as well. But this is the annual personal risk evaluation. Okay. So this is, and all the risk evaluations are forms designed to get updated risk information from our clients about their homes, their boats, their flood, their everything, you know, all these different things, so that we can adjust, make adjustments to their policies and their coverage based on current and updated information. Okay, so let's see, and I'm just going to zip through this real quick. So this is the form. Again, this can be pre-filled for the client with their name and address, email address. You can deselect the sections if they don't have a second home, if they don't have valuables, so on and so forth. But then show you some of the questions. Did you install an alarm system in the last 12 months? Yes. What are the components? Okay, so now we might have a new discount we can offer. What risk mitigation strategies did you employ at this residence? A permanent installed generator. So this is kind of like a discount double check. So the client can then go through and say, oh, this is what I have. And then we can check on the back end as the agent saying, you know, yep, that's what we're giving you. Did you place your home in an LLC? Yes. What's the name of the LLC? Any updates or renovations planned? Yes. Then we know about the renovations. And again, these questions are more streamlined with yes or no to make it very simple as part of the renewal process. And same thing on the auto. Any new drivers, any drivers away at school? Have you paid off any loans? Are any of your cars used for business purposes? And then liability. What's your approximate net worth? Tell us about your liability risks. This is great because this can open up some cross-selling opportunities. You know, if they say, oh, we have a domestic employee, well now, and we didn't know that, well, now it's a conversation about workers' comp and EPLI and disability and that sort of stuff. And if they click in home business, this is where we can say, oh, great, well, we don't insure your business, let's talk about it. We need to cover that risk. So same thing, own a boat. We don't insure your boat. Well, let's do that. And then the last section, commonly overlooked coverage updates. You know, sometimes people are building a house, buying or selling a property, change of marital status, going to college, property held for rental, starting a business, planning a trip. So all these questions are meant to uncover those risks that might be hidden otherwise and might be difficult for agents to uncover through conversation. And the form can do it for them. All right, so that's that. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to open up the chat box and see if we can answer some questions. If you have a question, if you want to type it into the box, or if you just want to unmute yourself and ask the question, I'd be happy to answer any questions. And while we're waiting for that, I'll just say a little bit more on the annual personal risk evaluation. This is something that is, you know, personally as an agent. And for those of you who don't know me personally, I am an agent. I've been an agent for 13 years. 5 years ago, I decided that there's got to be a better way. And RiskRevu was the result of that. And so in my business as an agent, I use the annual personal risk evaluation as a part of my process. So 60 days ahead of renewal, that's the first email that I send out. And in fact, I have a template that makes it very simple. So I go through my renewals and I say, okay, for John or Jane Doe, I'm going to send them, I'm going to start the renewal process, and here it is. Here's the template. I hope you're well. As you may be aware, we're approaching the renewal of one or more of your insurance policies. My goal is to keep your coverage up to date with changes in your life to ensure you continue to be well covered. Please click the link below to complete a personal risk evaluation at your convenience. It'll take 5 minutes to complete, and it will help identify potential areas of risk that we should discuss. As always, please feel free to call me or email to start a conversation about your insurance as well. Thanks for your time. So very simple. And then they click the link, takes them right to the form, and they can complete it. And when I send these on an aggregated basis, sometimes I'll do it as a group, sometimes I'll do it individually. As a group, I've gotten anywhere from 20 to 40% response rates. On an individual basis, it's usually 100%. So let's see. Okay, we have another question. Okay, what if my agency needs a form that's not on RiskRevu? Can you build it for us? Oh, great question. So the answer is yes. We do have a service where we can build forms specifically at our users' request, and we've built several to date. So we do charge for that. It's starts at $100, and it depends on the time it takes. Some of these forms are more timely to develop than others. But we've developed a recent one, which is really, really neat. It's an excess flood renewal analysis form that really does some neat analysis on excess flood policies. So yes, the answer is yes. So if there are certain ideas or processes that our users want to improve through a digital form, we would love to talk to them about that. You know, and one of the things that's really neat about this platform is that it's users helping users. So, you know, we have a ton of users on the platform at this point, and we are constantly getting feedback from them saying, you know, we're in Minnesota, or we're in California, or we're in Florida. Can you add specific questions related to our area to this form? And in, say, 95% of the time, we can. So we'll do an internal review to make sure that it'll work. But we love incorporating, you know, different questions from around the country into our forms. So let's see, I think there is another question. How do I manage the process with follow-up? I presume that's on the annual personal risk evaluation. So once the person, so I have an email stream that I have going 60 days, then 30 days, then 15, and so on to as part of that renewal process. So in terms of follow-up, the people that complete the questionnaire, you know, if there is something that needs to be acted upon, that's really easy as far as follow-up is concerned, because they say, oh, you know, I noticed on the form you filled out, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, that you mentioned you have a generator. I didn't know that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the insurance company, get the pricing of the discount, and I'll send that to you. That's great. And so the form can bring out those things that we want to have, and then that leads to further follow-up. And then for those who don't fill out the form, sometimes, you know, I let them go if it depends on the situation, but I could just let it go because they didn't fill out the form, they saw it, and they moved on. And then there's the rest of the renewal process that they'll go through, but not related to the form. So I hope that answers your question, Peter. Any other questions? We're a little bit over time. I'm happy to stay on if there are other questions. Okay. Very good. Well, again, thank you to everybody for joining the call today. I'm really happy that you were able to make it, and I'm really grateful that you took the time out of your day to be here. If you have any questions or would like a copy of this recording or previous recordings, feel free to email us at info@riskrevu.com. And if you'd like to stay in touch with us on what we're doing, feel free to sign up for our newsletter at the bottom of our website, riskrevu.com. Okay, thanks everybody. Stay safe out there, and look forward to talking to you soon. Take care.